Hi everyone, Timola here from foxreviews.info and welcome to this week's edition of the weekly Forex Algorithm Review. I hope you're all well and that you had a great trading week last week. This edition of the review is for the 3rd to the 7th of December. And in a few moments, what I'll be doing is highlighting a number of important trading areas in the market, as well as looking at how price action moved recently on multiple markets. Now, before we get into this week's review, I first off would like to mention that I have a bit of a raspy throat, so I'm just getting over a cold, so just be aware of that my voice may not be the best in this week's edition of the review, so bear with me. Anyway, let's get into this week's edition of the review and see what's happening on the charts. The first pair I'll highlight is USD, and I'm on the daily chart. On USD this week, what I'd like to highlight is that where price is pulling back into, which is the 1.1310 area, that this is a great area on this market to consider a potential bullish opportunity in this area and look for a potential move to the upside, potentially move all the way up to this previous high and low, or potentially look for a move all the way up to the 1.1550 zone area to the upside. So overall on USD, highlighting that where price is retesting, which is the 1.1310 zone area, that this is an area on this market, a great area on this market to look for a potential bullish opportunity in this area and a potential move the upside from this important zone. Okay, well that's it for that market. The next pair I'd like to cover in this week's review is US dollar Swiss, and I'm on the daily chart. On US dollar Swiss this week, what I'd like to highlight is that if price pulls back, it's an if-then process. If price pulls back and retests the $1.41 high area, which is this recent high, looking left back here, that this is a great area on this market to once again look for a potential bearish opportunity in this area and look for a potential move to the downside, potentially move all the way down to this recent low and high, or potentially move all the way down to this low looking left, or potentially move all the way down to the 98.30 zone area to the downside. So overall on US dollar Swiss, price may not pull back, but if it does, it's an if-then process. Wanting to highlight that the $1.41 zone area is still a great area on this market to consider a potential bearish opportunity in this area. Of course, depending on the evidence and how it forms in this important zone. Okay, let's go on to the next pair. The next pair I'd like to cover in this week's review is AUDUSD, and I'm on the daily chart. What I'd like to hold in this market this week is where price has recently pulled back and is currently retesting, which is the 73.35 zone area. This is an area that was tested recently back here, where the bears gave a short-term move to the downside all the way down to this recent low and this low looking left back here, and wanting to highlight that once again this is an area, like I mentioned in the previous review, I mentioned this as a potential bearish reference area, that this is once again a great area on this market to consider a potential bearish opportunity in this area and look for a potential move to the downside, potentially move all the way down to this recent low area, or potentially move all the way down long term to the 70.47 zone area to the downside. So overall on AUDUSD, highlighting that where price is testing, which is the 73.35 zone area, that this is a great area on this market to consider a potential bearish opportunity in this area and look for a potential move to the downside from this important zone. The next pillar to cover is AUDCAD, and I'm on the daily chart. On AUDCAD this week, what I'd like to highlight is two important areas. The first area I'd like to highlight is the 97.82 zone area for all those people who are holding a buy trade on this market. That this is a great target area to the upside, a great long-term target area to the upside, and also that this is an area to the upside where I'm just looking for bearish events in this area. And if I see a right bearish events in this area, so it's an if-then process, then potentially looking for a move all the way down, all the way back down to the 95.78 zone area to the downside. Now the other zone I'd like to mention on this market, and the more preferred zone on this market, as at the moment this market is in an uptrend, is the 95.78 zone area. This is an area that if price pulls back and tests this area this week or in the near future, that this is an area on this market, a great area in this market to look for bullish evidence in this area. And if the right sort of bullish evidence forms in this area, then potentially look for a move all the way up to the 97.82 zone area to the upside. So overall, holding the 97.82 zone area as a potential target area, potential long-term target area to the upside for all those people holding a buy trade on this market, as well as an area on this market to the upside where I'm just looking for bearish evidence in this area and a potential move to the downside, as well as holding the 95.78 zone area as a great area in the trend if price pulls back and retests this area this week or in the near future, where I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area and a potential with the upside from this important zone. Okay, well that's it for that market. The next pillar to cover is US dollar yen, and I'm on the daily chart on this market. On this market this week, we'd like to highlight is two important areas. The first area I'd like to highlight is the 114.31 zone area, which is a great long-term target area to the upside for all those people holding a buy trade on this market from the recent test of the 112.81 zone area. And also wanted to highlight the 114.31 zone area as an area on this market where I'm just looking for bearish evidence in this area. And if you see a right bearish evidence in this area, like I go over in the Forex training on the website, they're potentially looking for a move all the way down, all the way back down to the 112.81 zone area to the downside. Now, the 112.81 zone area is also another area I'd like to mention on this market, and the more preferred area on this market, as at the moment this market is in an uptrend. This is an area that if price pulls back and retests this area this week or in the near future, that this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area. And if I see right bullish evidence in this area, then potentially looking for a move all the way up to this recent high area, or potentially looking for a move all the way up long term to the 114.31 zone area to the upside. So overall on US dollar yen, on the 114.31 zone area as a potential target area to the upside for all those people that are holding a buy trade on this market, a potential long-term target area to the upside for all those people holding a buy trade from the 112.81 zone area, as well as an area on this market to the upside where I'm just looking for bearish evidence and a potential with the downside from this important zone. And also on the 112.81 zone area as an area on this market, a potential pullback area that if price retests this area this week or in the near future, that this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area and a potential with the upside from this important zone. Okay, well that's it for that market. The next pair to cover is GBP yen, and I'm on the daily chart. On GBP yen this week, we'd like to highlight is the 144 zone area. This was an area that was tested recently and was also an area that I highlighted as a potential long-term target area to the downside for all those people holding a sell trade from the 148 zone area. So recently the 148 zone area gave a nice move to the downside and hit that long-term target area. So it was a great performing zone in the past for all those people that took a sell trade in this area on the previous test of this important zone. And as you can see, when price wick tested it, didn't really test deep in this area, just wick tested it, then the bulls took control and gave a short-term move to the upside. And now looking at that recent price action, it looks like price may pull back and retest this important area again. What I'd like to highlight is that if price retests the 144 zone area this week or in the near future, wanting to highlight that this is a great area on this market, to look for bullish evidence in this area. And if the right sort of bullish evidence forms in this area, then to potentially look for a move all the way up to this recent pullback high, or potentially look for a move all the way up to the 148 zone area to the upside. So overall, holding on GBP yen, that if price retests the 144 zone area, that this is a great area on this market to consider a potential bullish opportunity in this area. Of course, depending on that evidence and how it forms in this important zone, and look for a potential with the upside from this important area. Okay, well that's it for that market. The next market to highlight is silver, and I'm on the daily chart. The trading area I'd like to highlight on silver this week is the $14 area. This is an area that acted as really strong support on the previous test of this important zone back here and back here in the past, looking left. And in this week's review, what I'd like to highlight is that if price retests this area this week, that this is an area on this market, a great area on this market to look for bullish evidence in this area and a potential with the upside. Potentially move all the way up to this recent high, or potentially look for a move all the way up long term to the 1480 zone area to the upside. So overall on silver, holding that if price retests the $14 area, that this is a great area on this market to consider a potential bullish opportunity in this area and look for a potential with the upside from this important zone. Of course, depending on that evidence and how it forms on a retest of this important area. Okay, let's go on to the next market. The next pillar to cover is Swiss yen, and I'm on the daily chart. On Swiss yen, what I'd like to highlight is two important trading areas. The first area I'd like to highlight is the 113 zone area, which is a potential pullback area. An area that acted as strong resistance looking left back here and strong support looking left back here recently. This is an area that if price pulls back and tests this area this week, that this is an area on this market on a retest of this important zone where I'm just looking for bullish evidence in this area. And if I see a right bullish evidence in this area, then potentially looking for a move all the way up to the 115.14 zone area to the upside. Now the 115.14 zone area is also another area I'd like to mention on this market. And in the case of the 115.14 zone area, this is an area on this market where I'm just looking for bearish evidence in this area. And if I see right bearish evidence in this area, then potentially looking for a move all the way down, all the way back down to the 113 zone area to the downside. So overall on Swiss yen, on the 113 zone area as a potential bullish evidence area on this market, and also on the 115.14 zone area as a potential bearish evidence area. Okay, well that's it for that market, and that's it for me for this week's edition of the review. Thanks for watching. If you appreciate this video today, please do not forget to click the like button to show your support. Every like is appreciated. If you have a question or comment below this video. Also, if you haven't checked out the Forex training on the website, such as the Engulfing Trader, the 5-day training series, the Candlestick training series, or the Zone Trader training series just yet, where you can find out all about this Forex training by clicking on the links below this video. Okay, well I hope you all have a great trading week and happy trading.